for your testimony.
Thank you, Chairwoman Maloney, Ranking Member Comer, and members of the House Oversight Committee. Thank you for inviting me to testify today and for giving me the opportunity to defend the rights of millions of American gun owners to own and maintain AR-15s for self-defense. My name is Antonia Okafor Testifies, and I'm the National Director of Women's Outreach for Gun Owners of America. I'm also a national spokesperson. I'm a certified firearms instructor and range safety officer who specializes in working with women, particularly those with traumatic backgrounds. I'm what you would call an accidental activist. My parents are immigrants from Nigeria, and I grew up primarily with an anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment mindset until I arrived in college in 2009 and was greatly grieved at the epidemic of sexual assaults occurring at universities across the U.S. As a sexual assault survivor myself, I have since become a passionate advocate of empowering women. And in my years as a range safety officer and firearms instructor, I have found that my female students tend to give the AR-15 the best review overall. This year, Gun Owners of America put on free events for women that let new female shooters try out an array of firearms, from handguns to rifles to shotguns. Out of all the firearms, it was always the AR-15 that they raved about. Many of them surprised given the anti-AR-15 rhetoric pushed by organizations spending millions of dollars trying to deter them from owning one. The AR-15 allows women to have a larger firearm without having to absorb the recoil as much as one does with a smaller handheld firearm. The AR-15 makes it easier for those who have a physical disadvantage to the attacker to have an upper hand. Having a rifle allows me the advantage of being able to shoot the attacker from much further away than a standard handgun. The #1 reason that women buy firearms is for self-defense. I'm a proud owner of a Daniel Defense rifle, and it is my go-to rifle. It is by far lighter than any other rifle I own. It makes it easier for me to hold, and yet it still does an incredible job of absorbing the impact after each trigger pull. Women have been known to use rifles in defense in plenty of instances, but the people who have used Armalite rifles range from older men to young women. For instance, Stephen Williford, a GOA spokesman and senior living in Sutherland Springs, Texas, used an AR-15 to effectively stop a mass shooter at the church in his town a few years ago. In November 2019, a woman in her 9th month of pregnancy used her family's AR-15 to stop 2 armed attackers in her home. After they severely wounded her husband and attempted to grab her 11-year-old daughter, the wife grabbed the AR-15 and drove the attackers away. One of them was found dead from the round she put in him before they fled from the scene. More recently in Atlanta, a Black Army veteran protected his home and family inside, using AR-15 to fend off 2 intruders from his home. His wife was hiding inside the home, and the man used his rifle in defense of his family, home, and property. Banning these firearms will only make it difficult for women like me to protect our families. Gun bans never stop bad guys from getting firearms. As my written testimony shows, the original ban of 1994 did nothing to reduce the crime. Consider all the recent shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde were aided and abetted by gun restrictions. The Buffalo shooter indicated he was comforted that his victims would be limited in their ability to carry firearms by New York's tough gun laws, and Uvalde school was a gun-free zone. It's not surprising that 94% of mass shootings occur in gun-free zones. The Second Amendment guarantees a right that we already have. It pre-exists the Second Amendment. The right is to self-preservation. The Second Amendment's primary focus is not about hunting. The Second Amendment was put into the Constitution as protection of the people against an oppressive government. History has shown countless times that any people group without the means of keeping and bearing arms has remained the oppressed people group. Our history in America has shown oppression correlated with gun control. Even after Black people fought alongside their white counterparts in the military, many came home to racist governments and institutions that systematically took away firearms from Black communities, communities that relied on firearms to deter attacks from the Ku Klux Klan and other anti-gun organizations. Martin Luther King Jr. applied 2 times for a concealed carry permit. Both times, the racist police in charge of giving Dr. King a permit refused to give him one. In conclusion, because of the many benefits of the AR-15 for women and those with physical disadvantages, including the fact that our Constitution is clear that no government body has the power to determine which firearm I choose to keep in my possession, the Armalite rifle is a platform that is an exceptional, commonly owned firearm and should be protected as such. Thank you.